Video 4.5. Realized I forgot some things from chapter 4. One is when Maisie was talking about who do you think would be more popular, a victor or just an escort, and Drusilla said something about you just wait, like what becomes a victor or whatever. Oh, haunting. Like, yeah, she knows like how awfully the victors are treated and how they're like trafficked and oh man, all the terrible stuff that happens. And that was just like that that hint of like, yeah, this is already happening to victors. And again, just kind of thinking about the shift from like the 10th Hunger Games to this 50th to the like 74th and 5th. It's like it's already happening. Like these horrors that the victors endure. It's like the games never end for the victors. Like there's still more horror coming. And yeah, it's just quite the little, again, Easter egg and yeah, like foreshadowing of what's to come. Shoot, I think I forgot the other one again. It's gone. I don't know. Okay, here after finishing chapter 5. Okay, the ending. I always feel like I want to start with the ending because that's what's the freshest. But, can you imagine you were going to this death match and the only real hope you have is to get sponsors, this popularity contest, and your stylist just like does not care. That was wild to me. And they show up late and the horses go rogue. That it just seems like one awful series of events, like one nightmare after another. But I mean, it does kind of, I guess, make it even more crazy that he was just able to overcome all of it and win. Also, the showers where they spray them down with insecticide. Can you imagine? That's terrible. Terrible. I have allergy issues. I cannot imagine like inhaling something like that straight out of like the shower head. I would have headaches, sneezing. It would be a whole thing. I had this thought. It just dawned on me that he told that whole story about how he calls little girl Luella. Is that her name? Sweetheart. And it was this whole thing when she was a really young kid, and he calls Katniss sweetheart. That just dawned on me. I don't know if that term of endearment has been cheapened throughout his life, but it seems like something he holds dear just with her at this point. So I'm wondering if after her death, if now he'll just like use it all willy-nilly, or if there was something about Katniss that he kind of felt a similar like endearment towards, maybe because her dad was his best friend. I don't know. But it just dawned on me, the like sweetheart term. And also him. Okay, the chariots go crazy. The horses are running about, and he has blood all over him. I knew as soon as he said he had blood all over him, it was Luella's. But he's literally thinking this is a better way to go, and it's not even him, but his like the one he was trying to like partner with, his ally, and somebody that he like cares for really dearly from home. It's like all the ways. I mean, but again, I guess in his eyes that's a better way. She doesn't actually have to go into the arena. But yeah, that was tough. That was tough. I'm hoping that moment will be a way for, Hamish to garner more sympathy, because he's, I'm sure, gonna show a very intense reaction to her death because he cares for her really dearly. yeah, so that was a tough ending. These chapters have pretty good endings. It leaves me with like, ooh, I have this thought and I can't wait to share it, because it's just like, oh, can you imagine this happening? So yeah, again, still really liking it. Don't really have a ton of thoughts about this chapter, but yeah. Okay, just finished chapter 6, and Max and Iris are his mentors. I really wondered what happened to Max, like why she couldn't speak. I was like, maybe she could never speak, but she's definitely talking to Hamish, so I'm curious to see what happens with that. Like if it shows more of the in-between. But I'm getting ahead of myself again because the ending's fresh. The Hamish carrying the little girl's body, running with it, and then stealing the chariot to ride up to Snow. Like, that was the biggest, like, for lack of a better word, effy moment. But it's so interesting. Again, like, Snow is always just so, like, calm and composed, and he was just kind of like, you know, you can't touch me, like, who cares? But just really touching. And again, I feel like it makes me think of like Katniss and her relationship with Rue, and how that's what like endeared people to Katniss, that's endearing, I think, the crowd to Hamish, but also that he's just kind of gutsy. Like, I don't know, I feel like Katniss and Hamish are really similar in the way they're kind of like going about this and trying to like kind of stick it to the Capitol and just letting their anger kind of come out in a way that even the Capitol citizens are rooting for them. But again, it feels like Snow's just super cocky about it, because it's like, you're a tribute, what are you gonna do to me? So that was kind of cool. I do think something's gonna come of the District 3 boy that's like rallying like a rival career to rallying an ally group that will be able to compete with the career pack. And again, I just feel like you don't mess with the folks from District 3, they're smart. So I think Iris is going to really encourage Hamish to like lean into that. Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that he's not going to actually commit to be allies with them, but then in the games they're going to still like not target him initially, or like kind of help him initially to try to win over that allyship. It was kind of funny when why can I never remember that girl's name? The snobby twin, her basically being like, wow, you out-meaned me, when Hamish was talking about their District 12 boys, like Booker, why can I not think of words today? This has been a problem with every one of these videos. With their like gambling family, the ones that kind of coordinate the gambling. Yeah, I thought that was just kind of funny, her calling him out a little bit, and him also having to wrestle with like, wow, if she's calling me out, then that's probably bad. But yeah, that was a really good chapter. I really think the mentors that he got, it makes a lot of sense. All of the people that were part of the rebel movement are they're friends, they have histories, but the way you described Mags, of like her shielding the boy from like the cameras, like for the previous tribute, and it just, I don't know. And I love that Iris was the previous year's mentor, and that she just outsmarted the game makers and other tributes. And so I don't know, I feel like it's really fitting, and I love that that's his mentors, and I love that he's hopefully gonna get to bond with Mags and her just being there for him while he's just like crushed over the like events of the last few days. And I'm just really excited to see kind of how that relationship and her like tenderness really like holds that space for Hamish to be like vulnerable. So we'll see. I'm just, yeah, when they said it was Max, especially, I was just like, oh, yes. But again, tragic. So I'm like, oh, I know how Max's life ends. But I was reminded of like that scene in the movie when they're watching all in Catching Fire, when they're watching all the reapings from the other districts, and Max volunteers for Annie, and Katniss is like, well, she's not gonna make it, and he's like, yeah, you're right, but she's a really lovely lady, so like, you know, think about how sweet she is for knowing that she didn't have a lot of life left, to just go ahead and kind of sacrifice herself so that Annie could potentially have more time. So I'm hoping that it goes more into Max's backstory. I'm really curious how she won her games. Because again, she seems like such a tender-hearted person. So yeah, we'll see. Anyway, it was a good ending to the 6th chapter. Okay, chapter 7 is done. I love the intro to that of like Haymitch basically just like breaking down. And again, it's just like heartbreaking because you know, you see him in the later books and it's like he's just so broken down and wounded, and you see like how that all happened. I mean, I guess that's the point of the prequel, that's from Haymitch's life and story. By definition, you're supposed to be seeing that, but yeah, it's just heartbreaking. And I went into it knowing this was going to be a heartbreaking book, but it's like he really cared for Llewellyn. I think is her name. I think I finally got it. And oh my goodness, when he said something about his girlfriend being like his one love, but Llewellyn was his one sweetheart. And I was just like, oh, my heart. And then again, like what I was talking about with Katniss and how he calls her sweetheart repeatedly. And I'm like, does he, I just want to know if he does that with everyone after this point, because again, it almost like cheapens the like term of endearment that he'd used for Llewellyn to, I don't know, almost put distance between that memory. Or if it's just, you know, Katniss becomes like, maybe he views Katniss like Llewellyn, and, which I could see, again, just because, like, Katniss's dad and him were such good friends, too. This is all under the assumption that the one guy is Katniss's dad. I think it is, because he was saying something about, like, the Everdeen cousins or whatever, and Astrid, I think is her mom's name, that's who his friend has a crush on. So that, I think that's a well-educated assumption. But yeah, I'm just that's just heartbreaking. And again, I'm really curious to see if we see him refer to anyone else's sweetheart in the rest of this book. And then I'm glad that Haymitch is kind of like, kind of settling into the idea of like, hey, I need allies, and like being open to the other folks from District 12, and then even when they're training to the non-career pack that's forming. Yeah, and Plutarch is just so interesting there at the end of the chapter too. It's like he was already, it's almost like he singled Haymitch out, thinking that like, hey, you're different. And like from the beginning, it seems like he's doing that, which, I mean, I guess it's possible that he's kind of saying somewhat rebellious things to all of the tributes, and we're only getting Haymitch's perspective, but it does seem like he's like making a point to say things that could be probably not great in the eyes of the Capitol, but I guess that was masked as more of a question of like, just why didn't you, like, what's your motivations behind this? But then he does point out too that like, yeah, I see the senseless killing, like I see the slaughtering, and I don't know, it's just very interesting to see the early makings of Plutarch, and it's like, man, has he been a rebel literally the whole time since he's been young? And he really has just been like working in the making of the Hunger Games just to work his way up so that he could pull off something like what happens in Catching Fire. So, very interesting character. I love that we're getting an insight into his character too, as well as Haymitch's. But yeah. Okay, I realized in the last video that I kind of commented a little bit on what went into chapter 8, which is what I just finished. Mainly because sometimes with the audiobook, it doesn't actually say when you're going to the next chapter. You just kind of have to listen for the cues of like, this just kind of seems like a shift. This seems like a pivotal moment that would end a chapter. So I had heard a little bit into the next chapter, and I forgot that that was in chapter 7. But so anyway, I commented on Plutarch in the last one, and his like interesting line of questioning and musings. We saw Beatty, and that again, like I say this every time, I love the nods to the characters and things that we've seen in mainly the Hunger Games trilogy, but also in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Love the nods to those things. But oh my gosh, how awful. And I know Snow is awful and his regime is awful, but to punish Beatty coordinating for his son to be in the Hunger Games, and then he has to mentor him. That is diabolical. Terrible. And again, I think it just lends even more credence to why all of the rebels are willing to kind of like risk it all in Catching Fire and Mockingjay. Like all of those tributes, you see everyone's motivations of like, this has got to stop, and if nothing else, just to send like a stick it to Snow kind of thing. Yeah, and even I like that Beatty too, it's almost like I think he said something about, it's hard knowing that I am watching what will likely be my son's last moments or last hours or something like that. And yeah, it's like he's kind of accepted that his son's odds aren't great, and he's still like helping Haymitch, and you know, he probably doesn't necessarily think that Haymitch is gonna win, but I think he supports the mission that Haymitch is like gonna try to stick it to the capital in some way. It's like somehow Plutarch and Beatty and like, it's like they can kind of point, like they've got their finger on the pulse of like, this person is gonna stir some stuff up, you know, is willing to do that. So yeah, just diabolical. And then, which raises the question, you know, Beatty, they said he said that they deemed him too valuable to kill him, but his son was basically disposable, and that could be a punishment. I wonder if that's the case, why they let him be reaped in Catching Fire. Like, did he cease to be useful anymore? They had someone replace him. It's just interesting, since he established so much infrastructure for the capital, like why they allowed that at that point too. I'm curious how Haymitch is gonna sneak stuff into the games, like his nails and coins and whatnot. I don't really see that happening, but I'm curious. He's crafty. I don't know. Maybe he'll use Marilee's like talent of, you know, making normal stuff look like tokens from the district or whatever. That was something too that was really endearing. I loved the line by Haymitch of like, everyone hates a bully, you know, if you have like any conscience at all. And so I love that he pointed that out of like, that's why he almost wanted to like protect the District 6 folks, the career districts were like kind of picking on and bullying and taking their lunch. Like, bro, you're being fed well. That's just unnecessary. But yeah, just feeling like he's got, and I love how he kept referring to them as like some broken doves, or like, yeah, it's like these little birds that are following him around, in the dove color, training suits. Yeah, so very endearing, and I love that Marilee, Maisley. Oh my gosh, why did her name just leave me again? Y'all, I'm the worst about these names. I'm gonna have to like start writing them down. But she is like starting to be liked by everybody. It's like she's just a softie, down at her core. Maybe not a softie, but I don't know. It's like something was making me think that her snooty, snobby attitude was almost like a defense mechanism when they were in District 12. And now it's like she's letting people in, she's being a bit more vulnerable, maybe. I don't know that I've seen that much vulnerability from her, actually, but it's like she's letting people in a bit more. Even if it's just this commonality of, like, I'm just mad that I'm here, and, you know, kind of like Haymitch's realization of, like, this isn't any of their fault that I'm here. We have one enemy, and that's the Capitol. So yeah, just endearing. And I love BD's son. It sucks because I love all of these tributes that are like that have formed this allyship, that are ganging up against the careers, like all the ones they've highlighted. And it just sucks because you know that Haymitch is the winner, that they didn't have multiple winners. That was unheard of until Katniss kind of pulled her stunt. So yeah, it just sucks knowing that they're all gonna reach an untimely end. But I think that's the mark of a good writer, is she's writing characters that we become attached to. But she's, even when we know that attachment can't go anywhere because the character is gonna be gone in a bit. So anyway, that's on chapter 8. We're chugging along. We'll see. Maybe I'll have this done this week. We'll see. The weekdays are kind of busy. I don't know. Oh, also, little 8.5 again, my things I forgot. I feel like nothing good can come of this, that Haymitch is being dropped off somewhere else. Like, you just know he's gonna be dropped off with Snow, and it's something to do with Snow. And he's at least gonna be threatened. I have a feeling it's gonna be worse, but we'll see. Alrighty. Finish chapter 9. Snow, that's so... I feel like I keep saying so interesting to everything, but I think Suzanne Collins is just a really good writer. One, I thought it was weird that they met in Plutarch's house. Like, why? I mean, I guess maybe they couldn't be seen having a tribute go to the president's mansion? Maybe? I'm not really sure why Plutarch. I felt like there was something that Plutarch showed Haymitch while they were talking, that it made me wonder if he was giving Haymitch a hint about something in the arena, like he did with Katniss and the Watch in Catching Fire. I can't remember what it was. I remember thinking in the moment, like, I wonder if he's trying to show him something. Still, I'm pretty convinced. Again, I haven't Googled it because I am not brave enough. Sorry, guys, one spoiler. About what's her name? Lenore Dove. Toward what I'm assuming is towards the end of the book. So I'm not Googling again, but I'm just pretty sure it's the Raven from Edgar Allan Poe that they keep referencing, which I think is a pretty cool reference, because theoretically Pan Am is like dystopian, but still like dystopian America. Is that what it's called? When it's basically set in America, but like years into the future after like there's been a cultural collapse or whatever. Maybe even a global collapse, since we don't hear anyone reference outside of Pan Am. So that was interesting, them talking about like alcohol and stuff. But then Snow coming in sick. I know he said food poisoning. I'm sure it's just, well, probably was he poisoned someone's food, and presumably the one who was over the like master of ceremonies for like the chariot rides and stuff, because that went poorly. So I'm sure he was the one that Snow was killing him via poison, because we know that's his MO thanks to the original Hunger Games. But it's wild to me that he came in like that. And like Haymitch is kind of his internal musings. It's like, well, I'm gonna be dead soon anyway, so like he probably doesn't care if I see it. But like, why'd you do that in front of Plutarch? Like that show of weakness seems weird. First no. Diabolical. I love Haymitch. I love that he just like straight drank the milk and turned around like it's empty. Loved that. And then yeah, just their conversation felt very like Katniss-esque, like his conversations with her of just the mind games and the toying with him. Him being like weirdly knowledgeable about the Covey. I can only imagine being Haymitch, like, how does the president know all this? But also, he's the president, so like he probably could have looked into it, but it would be like weird that he's like, how did they come up with their names? And him, oh man, him being like, I'm sure she says she loves you, but you can't trust anything she said, or basically like, I'm sure she doesn't, and I'm sparing you. Like, bro. Again, just calling back to Lucy Gray and how I guess she told him, I don't actually think she said she loved him. I don't remember for sure. Because she said, I remember some conversation about like, it's more important that, like, trust is more important than love to me or something like that. But yeah, that weird, like, breaking of their, I don't know if you can call it a relationship. And I guess him alluding to that being a tough heartbreak. I don't know. That was an interesting nod to Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So she's doing such a good job of like interweaving all of the books, because you have this one kind of stuck in the middle of Ballad and the Hunger Games. So she's kind of like drawing references from the Hunger Games, and she's drawing references from Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So she's just such a good author. Like, holy cow. Mad respect for Suzanne Collins. But what else? Him saying that he's basically already arranged for like Haymitch's death in the games, and he knows that he wants like a quick, seamless death. But like, what goes wrong? Yeah, it almost makes me wonder if Snow is not a very good like diabolical villain, because he apparently he's telling Haymitch that now, and something apparently goes haywire because we know Haymitch later. And then Katniss, he basically said similar stuff to her, and that didn't happen. So I don't know. It's just wild. It's like he's not very good at following through with these like schemes. So sorry. But maybe those are just two outliers, because I mean, he's definitely done some jacked up stuff outside of just arranging people's deaths in the games. Anyway. And then the end. Okay, he said something about Lou Ellen walked out, and you know I'm not good with these names. In this book so far, and of the tributes, but isn't that the girl that he was close to, that presumably was no longer breathing? That one threw me for a loop. Like, I mean, I can only imagine it has to be like a mutt or something. But that was a good cliffhanger. I was like, oh, what? Like, how is she here? Like, if he held her like cracked skull, and like unless he was knocked unconscious through part of that, but it all seemed like it happened really fast, so I don't know how they would have like done a little body swap or anything. I mean, he says he didn't feel a pulse. I mean, maybe capital medicine is just crazy, where like you've lost a lot of blood. Who knows? Maybe they can work miracles, but that seems like a stretch even for the capital, personally. Personal opinion. So that's pretty wild, and I'm curious where that goes, and if there's any explanation as to how she is alive. So yeah, very curious to see where this is going. Okay, chapter 10, we have the answer to who Luella is. Sounds like she is a body double, I think is what they called her. Sounds like essentially they probably did like plastic surgery or something on a little girl that was about the same age and size of Llewellyn, and changed her face, gave her the same scars and everything to look like Llewellyn, which is sickening, honestly. Like, and I mean, I don't know why I should be surprised by this. Like, it is the capital. We have seen so much evidence of their atrocities, but like, bro, like, that is dark. Yeah, dark. And again, it's like Snow doesn't even care. He's like, yeah, her family might notice, but like, probably no one else will. It's like, man, again, it's not for the family. It's like, he doesn't care if people in the district know how corrupt the capital is, or like one or two people. I guess he's afraid of like broad uprising, but he just can't have the image of the games tainted. So that's wild, and just unsettling. And I love how Plutarch is very much like, is being really vocal when there are probably spies around. Like, hey, I don't agree with this. But he's so snarky. I love it. Something about, you're my hero. I hope I'll grow to be just like you. Oh wait, I can't. That won't happen. I won't grow up. And it's just like, yeah. That's. I love the sass though from Haymitch. But again, I'm really wondering if Plutarch is already working with the rebels, or decided he wants to work with the rebels, or if he's kind of working that out as he sees more of those atrocities like that, putting Lulu's face, or Llewellyn's face, on new Lulu. Like, anyway, then they take her back to the tribute center, and again, sweet Mags, she's just like trying to get the girl fed, and it sounds like she has something on her stomach that's like drugging her. Like, the whole Lulu situation is rough, like difficult to stomach as a reader or listener. And it's making me think of like the movie that they're casting for, that's going to be coming out. It's like, I don't know, that just seems really dark to put on the screen. I don't know how they're gonna do that. Anyway, and it seems like too significant of a piece of the story for them to like leave out, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, the other two District 12 tributes, they're pretty astute. They have ideas about what's coming in the arena. I thought it was interesting that, like, I don't remember them hinting towards stuff during like the tribute's prep for what the arena is going to be like in the original Hunger Games and Catching Fire, but I don't know if I'm just like not remembering that. I remember Cinna kind of acknowledging when she's getting ready to go up in the tube of like, you know, this is like thermal, so it's probably gonna be cold or something like that, like her jacket or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, and then they're at the end. They're basically just doing again what they did in Catching Fire. They're trying to like rig the Hunger Games, disrupt part of the machine that is like the arena. So that's pretty interesting. I want to know like how it fails. Because I mean, clearly it didn't work well enough to start an uprising or for people to escape, but giving them ideas. I'm surprised Haymitch is still on board when Snow was definitely showing him or alluding to how easy it would be to kill off his family. Like, I don't know if he actually recognized that, or if he really just thought it was just saying, like, how I can make your death easy or not easy. But I definitely think he was alluding to, like, I can find your family. He even said something like, if, you know, it's a good thing that it's you that's not gonna live because, you know, if you survived, then, you know, their fate would be different, or something to that effect. Basically saying, I'm gonna de-end your family, if you survived, but you won't, because I'm rigging the games. It's very interesting. Again, it's very similar to the Catching Fire plan, where Beatty disrupts the arena. So, very interesting. Yeah, I don't have any other thoughts. Just feels very reminiscent of Catching Fire. But I love those Beatty and Wyrus and Mags. Like, they're like the original rebel movement in the Capitol, and they're the ones that still help kind of make it come about in Catching Fire, that like rally behind Katniss. Anyway, that's chapter 10. Okay, just finished chapter 11. Major thoughts with this one are just, you know, Beatty's going over the details of the plan with Haymitch. I don't have much to add from what I said before with that. It is kind of heartbreaking hearing him just be like, yo, there's no probability that my kid will get out of this alive. So just kind of, again, just like the reality of that hitting hard. But it is so interesting. Again, like, the cockiness of the Capitol, because it's like they basically set Beatty up knowing, like, they have orchestrated this so that a man who's basically a genius knows that you're sending his child off to die. Like, what do you think was gonna happen? Like, of course he's gonna try to, like, screw you over in the process. But again, I think it's just the arrogance of the Capitol, like, oh, well, we'll break his spirit, and then, like, you know, he's not gonna do anything to us, or even if he tries, like, we'll outsmart him. And I mean, I guess maybe they do with this, obviously, like, they don't just destroy the games with this plot, because we still have a 74th and a 75th. So I don't know, it's very interesting, the logic behind that, of like, let's set up this super genius of a man and like put him in a scenario where he is like devastated and hopeless, and not expect him to channel that into like anger and revenge, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, Marilee's, is that her name? What is her name? Anyway, the girl from District 12, she's really grown on me a lot. I do think she has a big heart, even though she was kind of a snob in the district. It was just touching to have her like piece together the sunflower for the girl from District 9. So that Panish, is that his name? The career, he's a jerk. It's just unnecessary to like break someone's token. And like, I don't know, hit Haymitch in the ribs. Like, he's just a jerk. Yeah, I think those are the big things. I can't think of really much else. The lines have been drawn for alliances. Haymitch's interview, like, I guess maybe I get where he was coming from. Try to like paint himself as this like master manipulator, and like I have a lot of charisma to like get people on my side. I don't know that the logic really holds. 'Cause what did he say? Like, I have 31 people. Was it 31? That he was like, that has sworn to keep me safe or whatever. I'm like, that really only holds until the career pack is whittled down. Then, all bets are off. So, I don't know. I don't know that was as strong an argument as he thought it was. But even if the game makers thought that was a strong argument, I'm sure Snow was basically like, tank the score. Yeah, I have to imagine. But anyway, yeah, not a ton of thoughts on this.